Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Golden Cabinet Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the lovely Clara Cohen. I'm excited about this because we go way back, and I know you have so much energy and so much to offer in terms of, you know, just even speaking and teaching on the medicine as well as the business side of things. So we'll get into that, but just a little bit of housekeeping first. If you haven't already done so, you know, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, leave comments. I mean, these will be posted also on our iTunes podcast and on the goldencabinet.ca website. Yeah, leave comments and interact, because we'd love to get your feedback as well. And maybe Clara would even jump in and answer a few things there. But without further ado, welcome, Clara.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you anyway, because like you said, we go way back. We went to school together.
Yeah. Now we've got that formality stuff out of the way. We can just chat. I mean, you know, like we were saying, you know, the idea of this podcast, you know, to start this podcast is, you know, simply to help, you know, as much as we can with whatever we can, or, you know, primarily from a practice building, you know, standpoint, but as well as any other little pearls or things that might be in a golden cabinet, you know, that could help. Because I say it all the time. I love, you teach and you've seen so many generations. I just think the acupuncture industry and attracts such a great group of folk, you know, and it's just such a pleasure. And you know, where we always are learn throughout our education to nourish deficiencies, I think the practice growth business, that side of things, is a place where our industry needs to take some tonics, and that's you know, kind of what this is for. But yeah, so why don't you give a little bit of rundown? I know Boucher and ICTCM has been your teaching platforms. You've created AcuProAcademy.com, which is a great resource for you know, learning the medicine mostly, and I think also some business tips of yours, because you have a clinic called Healing Cedar in Vancouver, or close by, that has been there for quite some time. You've been practicing since 2004. I know you're an acupuncturist. Yeah. You've got a team of 14, so I know you've got some HR tips and tricks. I'm sure you've spoke at comms. I know you did a talk about using 5 elements as a way of framing a way to approach practice growth, which is really interesting, and I would love to if you can remember that talk.
Sure, I will.
And and of course, I'd just love to hear a bit about your practice as well. But could you expand a little bit on your story, so everyone gets a good sense of who you are? Oh my goodness,
how much time do we have? No pressure. Couple of things. I think you know, I'm someone that wants to be happy. It's super important for me to be happy. And I think everybody, you know, what do you want to do in life? What are you going to do when you grow up? When people ask that to most people, they have an idea. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be, you know, whatever, an astronaut, whatever the person wants to be. I never had an idea of what I wanted to be. I just wanted to be happy. And that's always been part. And I know everybody wants to be happy, but that was my goal. It's like, if I'm not happy, I need to do something to shift it until I am happy. So having said that, I moved to Canada from France to learn English, because I thought, hey, it'd be fun. I should learn English. You know, everybody else speaks it. So I came here, and then that was the original goal. And then I stayed here, made some friends, and ended up in the fitness industry, which I absolutely love. And I was happy doing that, having lots of friends, loving Canada. And then one time, I think it was a Friday night, I was working, and I thought, I don't want to do this till I'm like 65 or 70 or whatever. It's not really a passion. It's enjoyable. But I think I'm done. I need something more. This is not enough. This is not challenging me enough. I like challenges. And this is kind of always the same, and it's not making me grow. So I had grown to a certain level. I couldn't grow anymore. There was nowhere for me to go with the fitness industry anyway. So I thought, what do I need to do? What do I want to do? When I grow up, what do I want to do? And I was already in my mid-30s, right? So I was like, I was 22. So I think most of us, a lot of us anyway, not everybody, but a lot of people that go back to school, it's a second career, it's a second step for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people. So, so then I spent 2 years researching everything from naturopathic medicine school, chiropractic school, massage therapy school, of course, TCM school as well. I went and talked to practitioners that were already practicing, their feedback, their protocols, everything. And it took me 2 years to make that decision. And I chose Chinese medicine for 2 reasons, because I thought it was something that was more challenging, interesting, something that I could keep learning for a long time. Massage therapy is the easiest way, I think, for a lot of people because it's a short program and it's easy to be able to practice. But I didn't feel that was what I wanted to do. Plus, I thought I won't have the strength to do that till I'm 70 and, physically. So chiropractic medicine for me, right, short term, chiropractic medicine for me was too quick. I love one-on-one relationship, and it was too quick. You adjust someone, my chiropractor adjusts me, we see each other less than 5 minutes, very quick. Right. It's effective, but it's not what I wanted, Yeah. Naturopathic medicine was very interesting to me. I grew up with all this, so it was something I was interested in. Unfortunately, there was no school in BC at the time. It was either you go to Toronto, so there's nothing in Vancouver, or you go over across the States. And I couldn't even live in the States. I just moved to Canada a few years back, so I wasn't even Canadian. So I thought, you know what? TCM is what I want to do. Plus, it's really focused in one thing. It's not just a little bit of something. It's very focused, very specific. So I told, after 2 years that I made that decision and I chose the school to go to, I told everyone, my family, my friends, everybody, and everybody thought I was insane. Everyone.
You are. That's
awesome. Yeah. No, one person said, good for you, this is a great idea. Everybody thought, what is wrong with you? Why rock the boat? You have a great job. What you're too old, or 5 years in school, whatever, so many years in school, like all this money for what? Acupuncture? Like, that's ridiculous. So I kind of got defeated a little bit, but again, I want to be happy, and that in my heart and my gut was what was going to, challenge me again, and which makes me happy, and I love to learn. So I didn't listen to anybody, and I just followed my heart, and I went in, and I have to tell you, second to marrying my husband, this is probably the best decision I've ever made in my life, going back and to learn TCM. Absolutely, hands down. It's just like, follow your gut. I always say, follow your gut. If in your gut you think it's wrong, don't do it. If you think it's right, even though everybody else thinks this is not right, follow your gut, because this is what's good for you. We're all different, right? It wasn't good for them, but it was good for me. So that's how I met you.
Yeah. Good disclaimer. I remember meeting you in school, and I think it was always, I don't know, you and I were always in a very friendly competition to be here in our class, but and that was great. You were always such a hard worker. I remember you probably doing the gross grind, before school started. I don't remember exactly, but you were definitely a bit of a fitness nut, and I love that. Just passion. I just love passion in anybody, and you clearly are bursting with it. But rewinding a little bit, okay, what in your childhood, or what, like, leading up to, adulthood, motivated you toward health and fitness? Was there anything that, like, made you shift, or like, was there?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of things. Yeah, there was a couple of things. I think a quick story on essence deficiency, since we're in TCM podcast talk. I definitely was born with essence deficiency, or Jing, not that much Jing in my birth or postnatal. I used what I could, but prenatal, my mom smoked 2 packs of 6 cigarettes a day because she's French, while she was pregnant. She also, drank alcohol, not much, but, on a daily basis, like a French woman would. And then she, worked really hard. And then I was born 10 weeks premature. So, like, I always like to joke about, I wasn't finished. I had scoliosis as a kid. I was sick all the time. I had asthma, all those kind of things, right? And things got better. My scoliosis actually got rectified. I had to wear a brace for a couple of years, but I had acupuncture, I had chiropractic, I had physiotherapy, I had so many therapy to rectify my spine, which they did. And my mom growing up was a single mother, no, working minimum wage. And we never had money. We never had anything. And I always complained that we had no money. And she would always say, it doesn't matter. As long as we have our health, that's the most important thing. Because without our health, all the money in the world would not do anything. Right. And I remember saying, she's right, because once I feel better and I'm not sick or all the time, or I don't have asthma attacks, or, I feel good, she's right. It's a much better way to be, even though we don't have money. I can get money, but the health is something I need to hold on to and protect, right? Right. So protecting my gene, my essence, making sure protecting. So I grew up with a mother that her thoughts was health is number one. It's the most important thing in life. And she is so right, because you could have all the money in the world, and if you're really sick, I always think of Christopher Reeve, and he was such a full of energy person, and then the accident happened, right? Superman, he was. And then he has all the money in the world, so it makes it maybe more comfortable, but his life changed and nothing could help it. Right? He was gone. Like, it took 8 years of battling, but he did in the end leave, right? Earlier than he was supposed to. So health is number one. And so for me, I was always passionate about that, about trying to keep my postnatal chi and my postnatal, energy strong and healthy. So because my prenatal was crap, so I needed to keep my postnatal. So that I was always interested in nutrition and in staying healthy the best I can. I was always reading about health stuff to try to, keep myself healthy. And the health industry fell on my lap. It was just literally, I had never been to a aerobics class in my life, but I've seen it on TV in France. So I just walked into a club. I took a class. I thought it was fun. And the owner loved my energy. She offered me a job. And so I was like, but I don't know what I'm doing. And she said, I'll pay for your course to be certified, and you're going to work for me. I love your attitude. And that's how it all started. Yeah, so, which is interesting because teaching fell on my lap too, like literally fell on my lap. I never knew I would end up teaching, even though I absolutely love it. And I found a passion for teaching. It was literally a fluke. It was just a fluke. I went to school to get my, my transcript. Okay. Right. I just wanted my transcript. And at the school, I was asked, could you teach in 2 days? And I go, what? And she goes, whenever our teacher had to go to China in an emergency, we have a class starting in 2 days. We have nobody who can teach this class. Can you teach in 2 days? I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I don't even know what I would be doing. And, she's like, think about it. And that's how it all started. And I said yes, because I felt bad that they didn't have anybody to teach. So, so a lot of things fall in your lap sometimes, but maybe you look for them. Maybe that's also.
Well, I feel, if I may, I just knowing you how I do, I feel like you approach life as quite openly. And you were just very authentic with everybody here today and about your past, but you're open. You don't come across as a closed door in any way, shape, or form. So I would postulate that key quality might be, why things come to you, because you're open to it. That simple communication with the universe that says, you know what, I'm open, and so then I say, you're in flow. When you're in flow, things come, or God rolls out red carpets, or it's easy when you don't have to make decisions. You had them kind of made for you, which is awesome. But I rewind a little bit. I'm curious, because I know I don't know you well enough, but I want to touch on, and I'm going to touch on this with everyone because I think it's a stumbling block within our industry a lot, and is the we have no herbs or acupuncture points to treat our allergies to money and business. But you said you grew up without, largely. So what triggered your change in you know, manifesting abundance in your life, you know, financially and just, you know, in, you know, wealth, both well-being and in finances? Like, how did you get around that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things for sure. You know, whatever I've had growing up, my mom taught me a lot of things, and she taught me also not about health only, but she taught me that whatever you want in life, you can accomplish as long as you don't hurt anybody in the process. You can accomplish anything you want. So she always said that. So, you know, whatever you want to do. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's good to know that I can do anything I want. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy because you realize you have to work really hard. But she always said that no matter what you put your mind to, if you work hard, you will get there. So I saw her working hard, and I know that sometimes you need to work hard. There's stumbling blocks, there's building blocks, there's, you know, things that are going to slow you down. But if you're dedicated and you got your focus, I think there's a couple of things that changed my belief. A couple of things. One of the thing was I saw a friend of mine running a marathon, and I thought that was really cool. She goes, "Oh, you can do this." And I said, I can't run a marathon because I'm not a runner. You know, even though I was in the fitness industry, running's not my thing. I have pavement running thing. No, I like to hike.
Your story.
Right. So I'm just like, no, I'm not a runner. She goes, well, you know, anybody could do this. And when I saw her, when I went to see her at the marathon, there was a lot of people crossing the finish line, and there was people of every ages. There was people that were way over 70. There were people that, you know, barely could walk across the finish line, and that they were having such a struggle, but they did it. They finished it. So it didn't matter how, you know, if it took them 5 or 6 hours. So then I was starting thinking, and I'm like, well, this will be an interesting challenge, because again, I like challenges. Can I run a marathon? I was like, well, let's see, first of all, can I run 30 minutes?
Yeah,
you know, just to
let's
see.
start with 5 kilometers.
Small, right? So, I made a schedule for myself, because this is with everything. And that's the same with TCM and growing a practice. It's like, if you have a goal, whatever the goal is, you need a goal. You need to know what the goal is, of course, like the marathon goal. You need a plan. So my plan was like, okay, I'm going to go get a book. And I started reading on how do you start running, because there was no Google at the time. So I bought a book.
Weird.
Yeah, I know things we don't get used to. I couldn't ask Siri to tell me what's going on. So I bought a book, and then I started running. I made a plan that every 3 times a week, I was going to try to last 30 minutes, either walk or run. So the book said start walking and running alternative. So I did this 3 times a week, and I had literally a goal for about 2 months to do this until I could run. And when I talk run, I'm talking jogging, nice and slow, for 30 minutes, but without walking, right? And 2 months later, guess what? I'm running, jogging for 30 minutes, 3 times a week. I'm like, wow. Okay, then I literally thought, okay, I bought the book on how to prepare for a marathon. And then I planned which marathon I would do. And I planned 7 months back. And every week I planned everything, how I was going to increase my run time every weekend or every second weekend, all the way until the marathon, what exactly everything was planned, what I was going to do for everything. And I followed that, even though sometimes I was tired, or I had taught, 7 aerobics class that week, but I still went running, or it was pouring rain in Vancouver, and it was just awful to run like an hour and a half in the pouring rain. And then I went to Calgary, and I went to run the marathon, which was Calgary in the summer. And it was the 4th of July. I arrived the 3rd of July. It was sunny. It was a beautiful day, 17 degrees. For people that have been to Calgary, apparently you got to watch, because weather changed very quickly. So the next morning, I wake up and my husband opens the curtain. He goes, "Oh my gosh, this is what's happening. It's like a foot of snow outside."
What? Yeah, Calgary.
Oh yeah, it's -5. It's Calgary. Apparently the weather can change in the summer as well. So he's like, "You're still going to do this?" And I'm like, "I trained for 7 months. Well, here, I am going to do this. I'm not giving up now. This is the finish line, right?" So I went there. This is building block, but this is so roadblock, right? This is a roadblock because for me, it's like I get there, half of the people are not here. Now it's turned to slush because it's pouring rain. And it's a 42 kilometers, right? Like, if you do this in mile, it's like, it's 26 miles or something? Like, it's insane. So I went and I started running, and all I could hear was my shoes going slush, slush, slush. And I was soaked. It was just awful. It was awful. And I felt like I was just going to collapse, and I hit the wall and all those things. But then suddenly there was a marker and it says 41 kilometers. There was one left to go. And all I could think is, oh my God, I did this. I did this. So literally at 41 kilometers, I started sprinting because I got so excited. And I don't know, but that's where you get your inner strength. You're exhausted. You think you're going to collapse. And suddenly your inner strength tells you, I'm not giving up. This is it. This is the best part. So I crossed the finish line, and they put the medal around your neck, and my husband like hugged me, and I burst crying. Like literally, I'm sobbing like a 4-year-old. And he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you hurt? Are you hurt? And I go, I'm so happy.
Tears of joy.
It's just like, it was really tears of joy, because all I could think is, oh my gosh, I can do anything I put my mind to. My mom is right, because I never thought it was possible to run 42 kilometers, not for me anyway. But that changed my belief in the fact that I couldn't run apparently, but now I can, and I did this, so now I can do anything. The world is my, my oyster. The sky is my limit. Like, totally changed my perspective. Absolutely.
So, okay, so when maybe people are having a tough time or believing, I think we're our own worst enemy. We self-sabotage, we convince ourselves that we can't, the internal dialogue kind of dictates who we are. So you mentioned mindset shift and goal setting. So your story just highlighted, those two things. But the motivator, thankfully, to that mindset shift was your mom. But if would you recommend, for people that find themselves maybe in a bit of a rut and they're self-defeating mental talk, or to take on some sort of challenge like a marathon or outside of their practice, so they can find confidence within their own spirit and that will translate into their practice, or set a big goal of some sort? Is that something you would recommend probably to people that came to you and said, I
totally get what you're saying. I think people need to change their belief, and it's not easy to change your belief. If your belief is, whatever it is, it could be anything in any aspect of life. Oh, I'll never found my person, whatever your person is, right? The person that you feel comfortable with, that you're really happy with, that connects really well with you, whoever that person is. How many people think, oh, they'll never found that person, right? Well, then if you believe that, then you will never found that person. Yeah. That's just the way it is, right? But if you truly want to find that person, then you need to believe there is a person out there for you. That's your person, right? And you need to change that belief. So I think we all have belief in anything, and some are great because they propel us forward, and some are bad because they keep us from trying or from getting what exactly we would deserve, actually, right? And I think that's very true when it comes to money. I think money has always been just painted as this bad thing. Right. But I'm thinking, why? Why is it that money, or making money, or making enough money that you're happy, that's an amount? Because everybody has a different amount of money that they'd like to make. Some people are great and happy making $1,000 a month, when other people want $1 million a month, whatever it is, right? So, but whatever it is that you think would, fulfill your needs, because that's what money does. It's not necessarily to go, ooh, I'm rich, I can buy all the, expensive things that I want. It's not about that. It's about giving to others. It's about helping with charities. If Bill Gates didn't have a lot of money, he wouldn't be helping all those charities he's helping. Charities depend on people that are going to give. People can give money when they have it. So that's how it goes. So it's not a bad thing. Plus, money can help you pay your student loan, so you stop worrying and getting so, worrying and worked up because you have all this money you owe. That's what money is for. It's great because you can take your person out to dinner, or your kids to Disneyland, or whatever it is that makes someone else happy, and you actually give happiness to someone. And it's not just about money. Of course, you can give your time to people. You can give a lot of things to people, but money makes it easier. It's just the way it is. I know because I grew up without it. You know, I grew up with no money. I know what it is to have some and to not have some. Right. I have to tell you, having some, much better.
I believe that. So, okay, and on a clinical level, I mean, what I have a relationship with money that I'm always working on as well too, because I understand the benefits that you just kind of listed off, you know, of inviting abundance into your life. And, you know, so I, like you, have, you know, receptionists that take the money and work with the patient, and bookkeepers that count it, and accountants that tell me what's going on, and a wife that tells me what to do with the money after all is said and done. But I find that you know, that asking for money in return for such a beautiful skill set that people have generally, you know, acupuncturists and their care and their support, and is something that, you know, it's hard to get over, but it's something that we all need to really get in touch with, because people usually only have money to barter with, you know, unless they want to bake you a lot of muffins every week or whatever that might be, you know, and people, you know, feel value in something if they're paying for it, and it shows that, you know, it creates a, you know, a sales term, but a buy-in. And so, you know, part of what we do, you know, is about, you know, influencing and convincing people that you can help support them along their healing journey to the goal that they desire, you know, or the dream that they desire in some cases. And that is hard to put a dollar amount on, you know, but I'm sure you've had acupuncturists come to you or are charging very little, or, you know, just have that like adversity with money and medicine as it being, you know, these two things that can't merge. Whereas I like to step into the arena where, you know, a good business and a good doctor both want to solve the problem of the person in front of them. So it can also be a good marriage. Like, so how, you know, what ways have you put into place to help, you know, I like to use the word currency because it's more flowing, you know, to help money flow through you and into, obviously you're helping support 14 people at your clinic, and that's their lives, and they're helping, you know, they're each helping so many people that come into your practice. So to me, the benefits are easy, but how, you know, what kinds of advice do you give when you know, students or new practitioners come to you and say, you know, I am having trouble with this part, and that my practice isn't growing?
And I think a lot of us had trouble with that part at the beginning, and I don't know why it's hard to value that you spend years, whatever it is, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, how many years the person went to school for. You spend your time, your you know, your energy, your tears sometimes, and your finance, your money. Sometimes, you know, you had to sacrifice a lot, like parents that have kids, all those kind of things, right? And you don't think that all this you put to get this education so you can help other people. And, you know, that should be valued as, this is a high currency value. Right. What I found interesting is when I was in the fitness industry, no personal trainer feels bad about charging to help someone with the fitness goal, which most of the time, all you could say is, okay, well, here's the exercise, and then go do the exercise. But the people are like, no, I need you to, you know, be with me along the way. That's what personal training is. So you could coach me to do what you tell me to do, because I don't want to do it on my own. So I'm okay to pay you for literally all it is motivation. Right? And nobody has a problem with that. You're paying the personal trainer. That's what I did. I was personal training people. You're paying me. And I've had actually people saying, I make decisions all the time and I don't want to make a decision. You tell me what to do. I just follow it, you know, and that's easier for me. And I'll pay you to literally motivate me to do something that I can do on my own. You can't do acupuncture on your own. You know, so if you're paying a personal trainer, what's the difference to pay an acupuncturist, first of all?
Good call. Good call. Well, I think that that kind of spins us back to such an altruistic group of people that are attracted to acupuncture, but and I even hate using that terminology because that somehow is setting acupuncturists apart because we don't want to equate money to our medicine, and you know, and maybe it's partly Canada or France where we've grown up in a little bit more of a socialist Medicare systems, you know, where physicians and money don't really ever aren't ever put in the same sentence, you know. But all these things you say as well, it's I know. I think, you know, one of the solutions I've come up with is for myself is I've got to take myself out of my ego, get myself out of the way, because it's not actually about me. It's about the person that's coming to me and their goals and the value that they perceive. And, you know, for some people that come to me, they would pay me $500 a session just because of what they get from it, you know, and how that changes the rest of their life, you know. And in that coaching piece, you know, we're there with them, we support. You know, it's what we do as acupuncturists largely. Or I know your practice is similar to mine. We spend some time with our patients. You know, it's important. So there's that perceived value, and then, you know, you've got receptionists in place that actually handle the money, and that is, to me, a nice separation. Because it is, if you do, the energy of them being together, I understand that. But when you've got, you know, something in place, that's been, you know, a major mindset. But thank you for those pieces on money, fantastic. But I wanted to touch back on, and I think this is your strength, is in the show notes you wrote in as during our time together, what would you like to talk about? And you used one word, and it was grit. And I love that. And I know you well enough to know that, Clara understands hard work. She's not afraid of it. She feeds on it. And how much does that play a role, really rolling up your sleeves and getting the work done, you know? Or how has that helped you grow your practice?
Yeah, I watched a TED Talk. Of course, we've all watched so many TED Talks, but I watched a TED Talk on that, and I was like, oh, this is exactly it. The guy was talking about that, about grit, and it just completely clicked for me, because I'm always thinking, for me or for anybody, to be able to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve or you want, you need passion and dedication. So dedication, I mean consistency, hard work, you know, continuing, never giving up, even when there's like roadblocks and things are going to stop you, or difficulties, I guess. But it needs to be consistent. You can't just try one thing and think, oh, it didn't work, so what's the point to continue, right? And then you need to be passionate about whatever you're doing, whatever it is that propelling you forward. If you're not passionate about this medicine, for example, about what you're doing, which is not only the medicine, but helping people using that medicine that you acquired, the knowledge you acquired in school, right? So if you're passionate about helping people and using that medicine, and you're dedicated and hardworking, that's grit. It's like you don't give up because you believe it, you know. And there's so many people out there that have never given up, and you hear those stories all the time, like, you know, what's his name, Jack Campbell, who did the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, this is the guy that had an idea and then went to 141 publishers, and everybody thought it was stupid, and you could have given up, and 142 thought it was a great idea, and it's like #1 series in the world with millions translated in different. So you have to be dedicated. You believe, you are dedicated by consistency, and then you can't give up, right? So that's important, and that's why I think a lot of students, going back to where we were talking earlier, a lot of students finish school and some of them get excited and then they don't get busy or they don't make an income, and they have to support with another job or with family members. And then they get defeated.
Right.
And it's like, what's the point to keep going, right? And I'm thinking, you can't give up, first of all. And then there's that money piece that comes in play where people they want to help, but they have that barrier, that belief barrier with money and the exchange of money, like you were saying. And something I say to my students all the time is, if you feel icky about this money thing, then again, like you said, it's not about me, it's not about my ego, it's about helping this person. So just tell them what you can do for them and what you believe for this person is required for them to reach whatever journey. They came to you for help. They came to you to whatever it is that they want to do. This is what you think will require this. So, in my opinion, if we do X, Y, Z and you come twice a week, let's do this for a month, see where that comes from. Let's book all those. Let's go from there. Like, explain to them, give them the educational piece. They can refuse and never come back, or they can go, okay, because that's why I came for help. I came to ask you for help. If you're not telling me what the plan is, then that's it. So that's the plan. Let's start and see where that goes. And then this person feels like, okay, you're helping me. If you don't give them an education piece on how your treatment plan is about to go, then because you feel like, oh, I can't book them for the next 3, 4, 5 times, that feels like I'm pushing. I'm like the car salesman. I'm pushy. You're not pushy. They came for help. When you not want to help them, that's the whole point.
Yeah. If that's what you recommend,
yeah.
If that's what you recommend,
yes,
and what you believe will help them, right? What you believe will help them, it's your duty to lay out a treatment plan that you believe will be effective. Not one that you think will like accommodate their financial picture. First
exactly. It has to be ethic, right? It has to be ethically right, but on both ends. Like ethically right in a way that, if someone comes to me and I know there's probably not much I can do, or I can say, until you lose the weight, your back pain is not going to go away because you're a man that looks like he's 9 months pregnant. I'm not going to say that, but you know what I mean? Like until you lose the weight because the person has a big, belly, I can help you with the back pain, managing it, but the cause is there. So that's not going to be helpful. You have to be truthful and ethically right in your explanation. Yet if somebody else comes in and said, I have whatever, I just sprained my ankle, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Let's do this, blah, 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 blah. Because I know I've seen it. Acupuncture is going to help you out, right? So ethically, it goes on both ways. You can't let that person walk away and not rebook them because you think, oh, they're going to have to pay again. It's like, I want you to get better. That's, for sure.
Those are both
for sure.
Like fantastic examples from the medical side and just the, the sad part of some of this, which I've seen is, people being too shy or whatever, the difficulty is with asking for money in exchange for their service or their skill set, the acupuncture, is that if the treatment plan recommended isn't clearly laid out and the patient doesn't come back enough to actually see the results, then they're another person out there in the world saying, I tried acupuncture, didn't really work.
Didn't work for me.
Yeah. So it's bad PR for everybody, and it's again, I think, this is all great. Thank you for all of your thoughts, because it's a topic I want to touch on a lot with, whoever I bring on here, is the barriers between, money. If we can somehow get through that, I think our industry will flourish. And I'm seeing it more and more in the West, at least. There's more clinics like yours or mine, or that are growing to a place where they're employing others, and so what I love about at Yin Still is that I've got practitioners there that because I love the entrepreneurial side, as I know you do, it allows the artists of the practitioners that are a part of the team at Yin Still to remain that. And because that is truly where the strength lies. So I encourage, people that do have the grit, that, and understand it, and that are wavering or on the fence about, should I have my own space, or should I try and grow things? You know, if you feel you've got, you know, the wherewithal and the grit and the entrepreneurial spirit to move toward it, do it. Because if you can, I mean, it's so rewarding to help other people also build their practice and have a life and be able to practice acupuncture full-time or as much as they want to, you know, to sustain their life. And when people are comfortable in that and their practice is full, that's when you start practicing really great medicine, I've found, because your worries about, you know, your schedule and your money are less, and you're truly in there to, you know, literally I have said to patients, it's like you know, I'm busy, it doesn't matter to me whether or not you come back, but this is what I recommend and this is what I truly believe will help you. You know, so you can kind of take that here. Wherever you go, you know, that's what I believe will help you. So there's so many advantages to stepping into our practices from a holistic perspective, right? The business, which is more the yang, and the practice, which is more the yin. You know, we practice holism and preach it. Yeah, we should be stepping into that. Thank you. You also talked about building relationships. You know, in the Golden Cabinet, I've got a couple of courses I know you went through on your virtual clinic, I call it, you know, and that's creating relationships with other healthcare practitioners, and then strategic alliances, which are, you know, other members and organizations and businesses in your community that would serve your patient population as well. So, yeah, you know, other resources in that. So how is that kind of what you're talking about the importance of building relationships, or were you talking more about in the clinic, or can you expand on that?
Yeah, it's everywhere. So I have three places I like to kind of look at building relationship, but I think building relationship is what really, I think, for me, has made a huge impact on my practice. So it's a big part of my practice. So number one is, of course, you need to get the patients in. But when the patients are in, it's building relationship with patients. Those are your number one, right? It's really having a good rapport with all your patients, because they're the referral train. They will send you train loads of people, yeah, right? Like that's really.
If you get results that are nice to them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, of course, exactly, right. So that's because you build a relationship. Obviously, a good relationship, but you know, you build relationship with patients different ways. First, by obviously caring about what you're trying to do and to help them. That's the first number one. By going above and beyond what they're expecting, giving them an experience of, like, you know, it's their first time or they've never had acupuncture. You take the time to listen, to answer questions. You know, you treat them as an equal. That's super important. I'm not here and you're down there. We're an equal level here. Yeah. So that's super important to really relate to them, understand them, be compassionate. All those things are going to make that first step, that first relationship. What I usually like to do is within 48 hours after the first treatment is to call the patient and say, hey, I just wanted to check in. Yeah, I don't email. And if the person's not here, I'll leave a message. I'm just wanting to check in that you felt great after treatment. Did you have any question that I didn't answer? Let me know. So they know you. It's not like you came in, they forgot about you. And even though this person's booked to come back next week, and I know they're coming back, I just wanted to follow up to know they're okay. Because sometimes people have questions, or there's a side effects, right? They had a bruise on somewhere and they're like, "Ooh, is this bad? I have a bruise. What happened?" So you can reassure them it's okay. That's happened. Bruise can occur. But then for reassurance for anything, really, or they forgot to ask something when they were, or tell me something when they were in the clinic. So I think that's important to really build a relationship with patients in that regard. To also, if patients need other modalities, it's like, have you ever tried chiropractic treatment? Because I have someone I could, recommend if you wanted to. That might also help what, we're trying to do here. Or, have you ever been tested for allergies? Maybe a naturopath might be a good idea. Yeah. Like things that I know can complement what I'm doing so they get on the road faster. Yeah. It's super important, right? Yeah. Right. So building relationship with patients, number one, for sure. Absolutely. And I've done things where, a patient had, this happened to me literally on Christmas Eve. A patient sent me an email and said, I haven't slept in 3 days. And that patient I didn't see for insomnia, right? At all. Like, but I just don't know what to do. I'm going crazy. It's Christmas. I'm just yelling at everybody, my kids, my husband, everybody. I just don't know what to do. And I said, you know what? We were doing a eggnog anyway with my husband and my in-laws. And I said, you want to meet me at the clinic in an hour? I'll give you a treatment. You sleep well tonight. And I did. We met. We had a treatment. But this is what you do because you love what you do. I'm not saying that, yes, you have to do this all the time, but you have to follow your gut, and I said, this person needs me right now. I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. It's not bothering me. And then we did this and she slept well and she was so happy. So going above and beyond and making sure your patients are treated the way they're supposed to be treated because they are entrusting you with their care, really. Yeah. And either you're ethically telling them you can't help them because sometimes you can't, or you're there for them. And that's a journey we're taking together for the long term anyway, right? So, yeah. So that's number one. Relationship with patients, big time for me. I have patients that, like I would say when my intake form where it says, how did you hear about, my services? I would say that 90% of the time it says this person, my friend so-and-so, it's always a patient of mine. So, maybe 10% is the website or whatever, which, when you first start, I guess that would be a good idea to have, but your patients are going to be your best advocate. That's why it's super important to be on time. Little things like this, like it's important to be on time. Yes, sometimes you can be behind because something happened. I always apologize. I'm so sorry for being behind. Yeah. Thank you for waiting, and that's a little thing, but that's an ego thing. Some people won't say that because doctors make you wait for 3 hours. So if I made you wait 15 minutes, why should I apologize? Yeah. To me, that just like floors me. Yeah. So it's treating people like you would treat me, right? Yeah. You would want to be treated. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Treat me with respect, right? So, yeah. So those little details make for the big picture. Yeah. That's for sure. Small details. So.
Well, I believe that I call, from a business perspective, the people that you take care of your patients, that you satisfy, that you, even if you don't necessarily fix what they came to you for, if you built a good relationship with them and it was honest and authentic and you did your best, those people will still send people to you. It is those little things there's results and then there's patient experience, and I don't know, they're both almost equally as important, and that is what forms I call it your unpaid sales force, and probably your best long-term marketing plan, if you want to put it plain and simple, is the people that are going to just go and tell people about you for free. It's no advertising dollars, no anything. But a key to that, in my opinion, is maintaining a relationship with them long term, because once they're done with you, never talking to them again also shows that you weren't fully in, or somehow they were still just a patient. And I like I call them maybe professional friendships that you can develop with patients, and there's a line that people are concerned about crossing, but it's if it's always meant with loving intention, and it's what you should be striving toward, because part of what we do well, I think, is connecting, because we've got the time and creating a support system sometimes especially with what we do. People don't get pregnant every cycle, and that's what we focus on. Obviously we're supporting people through a lot of failure, but we're there for them, and we're a support versus a fix. Yeah. And that's where experience, everything from how they look and feel when they walk in the front door to how they're greeted, to the tea and the smell and the sound and how all the senses are tickled. And and I fear, because I was there, that it's probably boils down to, you know, and you're saying building trust, and I would add confidence to that when you're, especially in an initial consultation with someone, you're, for lack of a better term, selling them on the fact that you can be there for them in various ways and hopefully help them toward their goal. When you're new, the confidence is lower, and you're really leaning on the medicine so much that like the patient experience part is out of the picture, you know, and I would encourage, as you just did, thank you so much for touching on that, it's probably even more important when you're just starting out to focus on the whole patient experience because of the deficiencies you have in confidence, you know, so they at least feel really warm and welcome and happy. Yeah. You'd agree with that?
I absolutely agree. I think you just want to, you know, especially I think for me at the beginning, because I had nobody, like, you know, like I didn't have anybody my first week in practice, second week in practice, third week in practice, I had nobody, like nobody, which gave me lots of time to try to figure out how, right? Yes. So, you know, so then, you know, people feel bad for me and then they come to help me. But the good part at the beginning specifically is you have the time. You're not in a rush. You're not busy. So for me at the beginning, even though it says, you know, my first consultation was an hour, I'd be spending an hour and a half with them because, you know, so you give them the extra time. And like you said, you know, you give them tea, we're having tea, we're exchanging, you know, this relationship, this new relationship, and make sure the light is dim and there's warmth and there's music. And it's a whole experience because you want to make sure that they made the right decision in coming to look for treatment to help them in their journey, right? And I think that's super important at the beginning, absolutely. And this is why it's important to also educate the patient in what we can do, or also help them figure out what the root cause of the problem is. Because as we know, in conventional medicine, a lot of time, you know, as you and I know, with fertility treatment, for example, a lot of time they are diagnosed with unexplained infertility, right? Mm-hmm. Unexplained means that they can't find anything wrong with them. Everything is perfectly fine. Why can't you get pregnant? In TCM, even though we can't help everybody, absolutely not, we can always figure out the root cause. Doesn't mean we can help, right? Because if whatever the root cause is, but we can always figure out what is the cause. And a lot of time I see with patients with unexplained infertility is emotional, right? The long-term emotional that's blocking that area. So if I explain that to them, because I realize what's going on in their life, and then telling them that, you know, because of whatever emotional issues they've had, this is what's creating problem. People get it. And when they understand it, they feel better. They feel like someone has kind of give them a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, because there's a cause. Everybody wants to know the cause, right? Yeah. It doesn't mean that we're going to fix it per se. We're going to try our best to do what we can, but it doesn't, at least that gives you, it's better than unexplained. No one likes to know unknown. It's just not a good day when you know, so I think we can give a sense of understanding, which makes it a sense of hope, which makes it better, because then you relax into it. And that's how, if you're more relaxed, you can actually get pregnant easier anyway. So there's all those little things that we can provide that I found that sometimes are not provided by conventional medicine, right? Because they have different tools. It's not because it's good or bad. It's just a different tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, that right off the start, you know, having that extra, that experience. I mean, I think it would be the default in those busy weeks where there's not patients, you know, coming in, or when schedules are, people often utilize that time as freedom to go out and do whatever they want, which is great. You know, I understand that, but you have to understand the grit part and perseverance. But also, you know, I question, you know, it's good to study the medicine and keep continuing with that education, of course. But I would encourage people to divide some of that free time between, you know, how can I holistically better serve my potential patient population versus just, you know, what formulas am I going to use if there's spleen Qi deficiency and there's blood and then there's dampness below, and, you know, like, okay, we've got to take care of the person as well. You know, I think we get so passionate sometimes about the medicine in our industry that we forget about all else.
Yeah.
Because it's
and
so
that's
cool, right? But
yeah, and that's the thing, right? So that's why I think the educational piece and building relationship is important, because I think we see that with patients a lot. If I help someone for back pain, they don't know that acupuncture can help insomnia. If I help someone with insomnia, oh, I had no idea you could do something for menstruation. My sister has, whatever, dysmenorrhea, right?
Yeah.
She's had painful menstruation for years. I didn't know acupuncture can help that. So there's an education piece of all the stuff you can do that is not just what the person is focused on. Mm-hmm. But the second building relationship is, for me, is if you are working in a multidisciplinary place, or you're working in a place where there's other people, your clinic, for example, has a few different people. My clinic has a few different people that are not just TCM. Maybe you are in an environment that's just TCM, but most people, they're going to work with other discipline. What I would think too is to build relationship, first of all, with your front staff or your support staff. It's important that they understand what you can do, what your medicine does. So they all have a free treatment to know what, because they're the forefront. They're the person that answers the phone, right? So when someone calls and says, oh, my baby is breech, do you know if there's anything anybody can do for me? If you don't know that acupuncture and moxa and all the things we can do for that is helpful, you're going to go, well, let me find out because I don't know. And, that takes time. And maybe this person has called somebody else in the meantime. And who knows, right? So it's very important that my front staff all have had acupuncture and they get it on a regular basis. They understand what it does, what it feels like in a way, right? Obviously. So it's important. And then also the people in your clinics. So, everybody there, the massage therapists have acupuncture and the ND has acupuncture. So I really understand how you treat, what you do, and it's vice versa. I've had massage with all my massage therapists. So when my patients was like, well, who do you recommend for me? Right? And they're all very good massage therapists, but they all have their own different little niche technique. Yeah. So then I can propel them towards who I think is best for them, because I care about my patient's outcome, right? So that's important, that we exchange and we all know each other very well. So building relationship within your practice. If you are in a practice where you're by yourself, or it's not what what I'm describing here, you need to build a relationship. And that's what I did at the beginning, because at the beginning I was renting a room. I was not really with, a bunch of people that were communicating, or there's no reception. I was doing my own thing. I went and built a relationship with people in my community, chiropractors, right? Like naturopathic doctors, massage therapists. I went and I got rejected by a lot of people, right? That's the grit. You go knock on doors and you say, hey, this is what I do. I'd like to give you a free treatment. I'd like to exchange, see if we could. And some people are like, no, thank you. Bye-bye, lady. So it kind of, but you got to, the grit, like we talked about, you got to keep going. And then you form a little group of people that suddenly become your core. Of course, you get treatment from them too, because you want to make sure that, they are the kind of people that you would like to refer to. Mm-hmm. So building relationship with your peers, super, super important. Yes. That's
the virtual clinic, which I had mentioned before. That's the term I give it, because they're not necessarily within your space, but you're right as well. Within a multidisciplinary clinic, we are all Chinese medicine except one naturopath. But
one naturopath, I know you do.
One naturopath. Within that, I mean, the naturopath has needed to do absolutely zero, besides educate us what she can do and how she can complement us. And not step on our toes, but how she can complement our practices. And she hasn't had to do, put any efforts toward external marketing, but I mean, and in a multidisciplinary clinic, it's like, if you build trust in those other practitioners, they'll send you patients as well, which is super awesome. These are great tips. I mean, it's, but a lot of that also means you got to get out there and talk to other people. Weird, I know you talked a little bit about online marketing. That I don't know if we'll get to that, but I mean, that the relationship also bleeds into public speaking. It bleeds into, having the balls or the ovaries to step into physicians' offices, or put yourself out there into communities where, you're scared to communicate, but it also helps you get down pat you know, what you do and how to deliver that to people so you're not fumbling over your words. And for you, that would have been twice the journey in English, right? But super important that you can succinctly get across to people how it is that you might be able to help them. Like, people's attention spans are shrinking drastically, you know.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's crazy. So just some,
I agree.
I don't want to keep you too long, but there's a couple more things I want to kind of touch on here. Is there anything that are really practical for people here? Are there things that you would recommend absolutely people stop doing, or should do a lot less of, or things that they shouldn't waste their time or marketing budget on, or, you know, just some don'ts?
Oh, the don'ts, eh?
Besides,
it's interesting.
Website.
Yeah,
You know.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. So yes, that's a big one. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, because that's something. I have so many ideas, my poor brain. But yeah, that's the number one. I've seen so many people with the website, and they're so excited about acupuncture that they want to put, like, you know, a Chinese statue with all the meridians, or they want to put acupuncture needles on the body, and I'm always thinking, why do you do this? The website's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with helping people. So I always refer to the website of a dentist. I don't like the dentist, not my favorite thing. But, you know, if you go to the website of the dentist, they have a beautiful smile. This woman has a smile on her face. You don't see her with her mouth open and the guy with the instrument in her mouth, because that would freak me out. And I would not go.
Good example.
I would go, no, I can't. Right? So they don't do that because they know the process to get to the end is not what we want to see. So it's the same idea. Yes, you're going to get acupuncture, but seeing a person with needles in them is not what you're looking for. You're looking for the results. What is the result? So your website, you know, has a couple with a woman that's pregnant, and that's the result. You know, someone is pregnant because that's what we do. We do a lot of fertility. So, you know, if you're doing a lot of musculoskeletal issues, then put someone that's running, you know, and put acupuncture injury-free running or whatever it is, right? Like, you don't put someone hurt. I'm in pain. No, you put someone that's happy. He's running, you know, down the road or up the hill or whatever, right? So it's something that you want to, you know, show. Like if you do cosmetic acupuncture, like one person in my clinic does cosmetic acupuncture, as you know. You know, you put a picture of before and after. So the face before and then after with less, you know, wrinkle and a face that looks much better after acupuncture. But you don't put a picture of the person with 50 needles in their face, because that's going to freak everybody else, right? So that's important. Right? It freaks me out. So I always think, don't put needles, just put the outcome. What do you want to propel? What do those people look for? Right. So that's a result focus. Right. So I think that's the first thing. Yes. Don't do that. Another thing that I would say is, it's interesting, but you might find that it's more within not the marketing outside, but within that relationship with patients and that communication. And that takes time, because at first, when you first start to practice, it's much harder to do. So it's practice. I get that. But don't tell people they have spleen Qi deficiency. Because it doesn't mean anything. Oh, your kidney yang is so depleted. Yeah. Okay, so my kidneys are in trouble. They're thinking, you know, oh my God, I have some kind of kidney disease. Yeah. So if you say that to people when they say, what's wrong with me? And you say, oh, you have, you know, whatever, kidney yang deficiency. It's like you saying you had a myocardial infarction. No doctor says that. Every doctor says you had a heart attack, because people understand that. They don't understand the medical jargon. So we have to stop talking in TCM jargon, because nobody went to school for 3, 4, 5 years to understand what we're talking about, right? So if someone says, what's wrong with me? Instead of saying you have, you know, kidney yang deficiency, I'll just say, well, you know what? The problem with you is you're always cold, right? You're always cold. We need to warm you up. That's the first thing that's wrong with you. We need to warm you up. People understand that. That's easy. You're fatigued all the time. We need to get that energy up, right? Because obviously you're depleted, you weakened, because that's the root. You've been go for so long that now you're exhausted. This is what happened. So that's the root. Let's talk about the cause and then tell them about the symptoms, but not necessarily tell them some TCM jargon.
TCM.
You have to stop doing that.
That's great advice. Great advice. So TCM jar. Yes. Yeah. Let's just leave it there. I couldn't agree more. If there's the odd person that's inquiring deeper and they're interested, have at her. Maybe have a coffee with them. but otherwise, yeah, you have to make it relatable. Okay, so let's see, what mentors and coaches got you to, helped you along the way?
So it's interesting because I think a lot of people, that's an interesting question. Two things. First thing is,
besides your mom.
I know, besides my mom was a good mentor. I've read a lot of books on motivational and inspiring and all those things. And one person that I really, really, really liked over the years, and everybody knows, it's Anthony Robbins, or Tony Robbins. I read all his books. I've actually seen him twice live, right? So love Tony Robbins for what he has to say. He really helped me in figure out a lot of things. So it's I guess it would be a mentor, even though I've never met him one-on-one. And by the way, if you guys, like Tony Robbins, he is married to an acupuncturist. Thank you very much. Yeah. But anyway, apart from that, right, Sage? So, but apart from that, including Tony Robbins, every person I've ever read always says you need to find a mentor in your industry. And I have to say, that's the hardest thing. Yeah. It's the hardest thing to find a mentor per se, to start with, like just a mentor as it is, like someone that, you can talk to or call or, and so they always say, well, take this person out to lunch, take them for lunch, and then ask them a question and pay for them for lunch. And I always thought, it's interesting because maybe that's my weakness or my belief, but I always thought, why would someone come to lunch to spend their time when their time is so valuable? Because I know my time is valuable. It's so valuable to come and have lunch with me, little me, just so I could pick their brain while they could be doing something for them, not for me, right? Even though they get lunch, right? Really. So I never really had a TCM mentor because of that. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because as you know, I teach. But this happened, the reverse thing. I have so many of my students who ask me for lunch and pick my brain, and I love to do it for them. Awesome. And I enjoy it. And I enjoy to give my time and help them in answering their question. Yet I don't think someone would do that for me. So maybe there's a belief issue here. I don't know.
Probably.
What's going on here? So I don't have that. I've had mentor. They're a virtual mentor. Mary Forleo is one of them as well, from Mary TV on YouTube. I like her videos. I've taken her courses as well. I really like the way she sees marketing. She really, really helped me actually in marketing my practice without feeling like this was this unsurmountable high mountain peak. Like, I don't know where to start. I have no technology background. Right. How do I do this? And she really, her courses were very valuable for me to try to understand how I go about understanding my patients, my audience, the potential patients out there, how to understand what they were looking for. So she's the one that talked about the avatar, right? The patient avatar. And that really helped me in the sense of my practice per se. Yeah. So, yeah. So those were my,
I think that is, this boils down to, I have a firm belief in finding, people that will, and they can be virtual, they can be authors, they can be anybody, any influence really on you, in my opinion. And that is why, I'm doing this podcast, because I believe that our industry does need more of them, and needs more examples of that talk genuinely and openly and authentically about their journey to becoming a successful acupuncturist like yourself. I had Jason Stein on, and I've got other people I want to get on here, because I am a believer that we all need help, and there's some of us that have fumbled through, you know, for 10, 20 years, that actually can help, you know, a lot. And I would, you know, I also love to chat about this stuff. Obviously, I'm sitting here, you know, beaking off about it and inviting you to chat about all these things, you know, but and I look forward to many years of helping, you know, younger or newer practitioners, you know, move in the right direction, right? But they need to know who's out there, like yourself, like myself, like, you know, there's lots of other examples out there now. We're starting to see them more, because it also matters who. You have to resonate really deeply with someone and see that it's like, if I was looking around, I would look at someone's lifestyle. This is how I found mentors. If they're living a life that's similar to the one that I want to know how they got there, you know? So, you know, that's why I want you on here, because people will see Clara and see your lovely, shining, you know, personality, and you will attract the people that you're going to be able to help, you know, because they want to be more like Clara, or emanate your successes, or, you know. So that's the root of the golden cabinet, you know. And so thank you for sharing your mentors. Of course, Tony Robbins, yes, I bow down to him as well. I've been to a few of his events as well. They're epic. If you haven't, you gotta. I don't think.
Oh my God, you do.
I don't think you've lived till you've been to a Tony. You've walked on fire. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
That's awesome.
Is there any? I've got two last things, and then I'll let you go. I'm so sorry. This is just such gold. I mean, and I, you know, if you're not necessarily seeing all the gold within this podcast, trust me that it will start seeping in. You know, so many of the things that Clara has said, and you'll be like, oh yeah, she said that, and it plants a seed. So anyway, tips and tricks for really tough times. Like, we all have shitty days. What do you do, you know, to kind of lift your spirits?
Yeah. So when you say shitty days, you mean like
just period in life, just in life period, because that obviously affects your practice. I mean, when I see my team at Yin Still, when I see their schedule faltering, I inquire about their life, because I know they're in their life is just, their schedule is a reflection of what's happening in their life. And so, you know, that's my job as the leader of you know, Yin Still, and my wife to really, you know, drill down to the human level and say, what's going on? Are you okay? You know, and wow, there's marital issues or whatever it is, and you'll see it. So when there's tough times, I know you probably go hike a mountain or something, but
so that is true. There's a couple of things I do. I think, and I know, you know, maybe people say, oh, you're so positive and stuff, but there are a time where I definitely feel down, or I feel stuck. That's a word too. Like, I feel stuck, or I feel like things are not going very well, or it's not good. And because I'm very sensitive, that affects me deeply very quickly. So I really, there's three things I do is I go outside, absolutely. So it's hiking a mountain is one of my favorite things to do, or play tennis with my husband and then try to kick his butt at tennis, which is not very easy. But that makes me feel good. It's like release the endorphins there. The second thing stagnation, right? Let's just get some movement always. The second thing I try to do is remember and focus on all the good part, because it's so easy to focus on all the bad part because it's going bad. Gratitude. But you can't forget that, right? The attitude. So like one of, my patient last week said to me, and I think they'll stay with me for a long time, but she's 14 years old. And, she's been coming for a few weeks. And she said to me, Clara, I was in science class this week and we'd finished this project with my team, but everybody else wasn't finished. So we had to wait. We sat there, for like 10 minutes. And all I could think was, I wish I was in acupuncture right now. And I was like, oh my God. That's sweet. That was the best thing ever, right? So it's sweet, right? But that's what I want to focus on people that say things like this. So, if you're having a bad day because you know, someone just, you know, something happened within the clinic, or someone was unhappy, or something happened, focus on all the other things, like that girl that said that to me, that patient that said that to me. For me, that's what I want to focus on the fact that, you know, you've helped so many people, that people, it's the tough part too, is when you are a little bit of a trying to be a perfectionist. I think our profession does have a lot of those people. And, you know, when you help, let's say 80% or 90% of your patient towards their journey, and you can see progress and you can see like things are going well, but then there's 10% nothing is working, you feel like you're failing them, like, right? And again, that's that ego thing. It shouldn't be about me, but you feel like you're failing them. So it's tough, because maybe there's something you have to let go, and you have to just say, you know what, maybe I'm not the right person, maybe, you know, and you got to let go of that, and you got to focus on the other thing. Instead of focusing on the negative, it's focusing on the positive. So I really try to hang on to the positive. If someone is having a bad day at the clinic, or something is, you know, is happening, then I want to focus on all the other pieces that are working so well together, right? And it's and because I've weathered some storms in my life, I think that I always think, yes, it's funny and it's easy to say after the rain comes the sunshine, but it is true. You'll never, ever stay here. It's always ebb and flows, right? So if you're at the bottom, you'll get up again, and you might get at the bottom again. But, you know, it's knowing that there's always a shift that's going to happen. It's life changes every day. So it is going to happen. Sometimes it takes longer, and that's the tough part, right? It's just, but it's always focusing on, there is an end of the tunnel, always, because remember, when you had bad time, you got out of there, right? Yeah. And then focus on the positive. So those things and go play outside.
Awesome. Those are great tips. Okay. Lastly, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to your 20-year-old self, knowing what you know today, what might that be?
Okay, that's a tough one for me. Not the wrong question. I'm sorry to say that to you. That's the toughest question for my personality. Unfortunately, I feel bad because, so I'm going to tell you what I think. Yeah. Because everybody has a piece of it. No, but everybody has a piece of advice on what they should have done, or what, you know, they would give their younger self, you know, this what I would have done and tell, this one. I don't. And it's not because I'm this person that's perfect and I did everything perfect. Yeah. It's because I wouldn't be here today without having done all the stuff that I've done, good and bad, meaning that all the wrong decision I made, or all the tough time I had, got me here, but all the good time and all the right decision got me here. So I'm a really strong believer in no coincidence, in making your own pathway, and I would never, ever change it for anything. So that's why I can't answer it.
That's actually, this was a test, and that's actually the answer I was expecting. Okay. Yes, so I believe the same thing, but it's a good question. You never know what you get out of it. But awesome. You answered it perfectly, just FYI.
That's fun.
I want to thank you. I've taken up enough of your time, but I want to also thank you for going through the Golden Cabinet courses and giving some of your feedback. I know you brushed through some of them. I appreciate that. I hope that's going to help people as well. I know you've got some courses.
I'm so glad you're doing this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're doing this. I think that's great. I think you're offering, you know, pearls, I guess we call them, because they're Golden Cabinet pearls. Mm-hmm. But I think it's so important. And I think, like you said, people need our help, and the internet, this magical thing that is the internet, allows us to reach everywhere, like in the world. Instead of just being just a community, you're reaching everywhere, and you can help anybody all over, which is so fantastic. So I'm glad you're doing this. I can't believe you're doing a podcast. As I said to you, like, podcast seems to me like this crazy difficult thing to do, and then you're just, you know, coming in and say, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I'm like, that's fantastic. So it's easy for me. I just have to come and participate. So I don't have to do all the background that makes it, you know, happen. So I'm glad that there are, you know, a lot of people. I always talked about our class as a whole, our graduation class, how there was a lot of very strong people in that class. And, you know, because it's important to have a good group of people that you know of, or that you've met, that are there when you need to power, or when you
Right.
like you said, feel like things are not going your way or are shifting. I think that's super important to have people that relates to you and your industry, that you're friends, and that you don't feel, and that's a big thing in our industry, that they're competition. I don't understand that word. I don't use that word. I don't see competition. I don't understand it at all. So, we're all different. We all can bring so many things to everybody. If we all compete against each other, then every woman think, well, we all go for the same guy. And then, if one woman gets this guy, then every other woman going to be single for the rest of their life. No, there's enough men for every woman, or every man for every man, or every person for every person. There's enough literally patients for everyone, because we're all different and we can bring different things to our practice. So I think that's super important to have people you can power in our industry. And I think our class had a bunch of strong people. So that was good that, we met. See, that was destiny, or
yes,
the universe puts us in our class, and then 15 years later or whatever, we're just like, hey.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love you, Clara. Your energy is fantastic. You also offer, if you want more of Clara, I'm sure she'd be available for one-on-one consults. I don't know, but we all should be. But you can find her at we'll put her contact information in the show notes that you can see, so feel free to get a hold of her. But it's your website is also full of pearls of wisdom, little videos that you do, so you do know tech a little bit. It's great. It's AcuPro Academy, acuproacademy.com. Check it out. I love your little the business challenge, the emails that you get as well. That was a nice free opt-in. But otherwise, is there anywhere else people can kind of get a hold of you, or?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm like you. I'm a little bit of everything, but yeah, acuproacademy.com, that's there. And I post a lot of things that are fun. I like to have fun. So I have my Facebook page, which I create a bunch of different videos and posts to make, TCM fun to understand. So, and to share, to educate the world about TCM. So that's a goal as well. And then I have a little bit of a YouTube channel as well that I put mini little videos for fun. This is a lot of fun for me. And then I offer courses on my website as well, free and premium ones. So yeah, it's just, it's something that I started about 2.5 years ago, and I'm enjoying it because I get to, and with the Golden Cabinet, you'll do the same thing. Is you get to meet people, I'm talking virtual meet, people from all over the world who are passionate about TCM, which is fantastic. People are passionate about TCM in Dubai. I'm like, whoa, this is so cool, right? Yeah. So yeah, so it's a without limits, or what is it? Without borders, a medicine without borders. That's what it is. So yeah,
it is. So subscribe to Golden Cabinet. We've got the YouTube channel, Facebook. We've got an iTunes podcast that started now, or go to thegoldencabinet.ca to see more, and to get all the details on today's podcast, the transcription, and how to get a hold of Clara. Thank you so much, Clara. I'm going to let you go now. I'm so sorry for taking so much of your time, but thank you so much. I'm sure
this was fun.
Much. Great. Excellent. All right. Okay, dear. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Spence.